Heads up! This podcast contains infrequent informal language. Please proceed with due caution.
This is Prompt Songs Podcast. If you are new to this show, we recommend beginning from the pilot episode and making your way through in order. If not, you'll pick it up along the way. Please enjoy the show.
Alright, so a month and a half ago when we recorded the last episode, that very night we went out to see a gig, which is something that not a lot of people around the world can do right now. We were out there licking doorknobs and coughing into each other's open mouths. It was great.
Kissing strangers and...
Yeah. We saw the Beths.
What a gig.
At I guess it's like a homecoming gig for them, kind of. They would have done one sooner, but something happened. Very good opening acts. I really liked Mermaidens.
They did a homecoming gig a year ago when they came home, which we went to as well.
Oh, we go to that.
At the Hollywood.
Ah, that's right. They did 2 shows, yeah.
But they would have been touring this whole year overseas if it wasn't for...
They had an American tour booked and a European tour, and then COVID happened. Well, I didn't just go to that one gig. I went to 4 in 2 weeks.
Oh, real?
One of them was the Beths with you guys, and then Adam and I went to see the Phoenix Foundation.
Which was really cool.
At the Power Station, one of my favourite New Zealand groups, and they delivered.
Hell yeah.
Adam really liked, was there just one opening act?
Womb.
Womb.
Yeah, just the one opening act, I think.
Very unconventional drums, guitar, vocals, and turntables.
Yeah.
And it didn't sound like a DJ set.
Yeah. The guy was playing some keys as well.
Yeah.
And also, he went over and played the cymbal at one point. I was like, this is very cool.
If I was the drummer, I'd be really annoyed. It's like, you're just showing off right now. But no.
Get away from my stuff.
Really interesting sound. And then Sam and I went to see New Zealand pub legends, the Dudes.
Oh, yeah.
With opening by Racing, who are like the group that was birthed from the death of the Czechs, R.I.P.
Right.
Yeah, that was cool to see. It was good to see more from like a patriotic Kiwi perspective.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
All the acts we've seen are Kiwi bands, because obviously international acts would have to do 2 weeks quarantine and they couldn't afford that really. And then I also saw, the night after the Beths, I saw local hero Don McGlashan.
Oh, yeah.
Which was amazing because I interviewed him a month before for an as yet unreleased podcast, and he did an entire set of new material, and then he did like another set's worth of old songs after that. And that was at the Hollywood Theatre, and that sounded fantastic.
Yeah, I like that venue.
It's so cool. They do like retro films there and local gigs of artists that I really enjoy. I've seen Tiny Ruins there with you, Sam, and we saw the Best there last year, and I saw Don McGlashan there this year. One thing I will bring up with the gigs we saw, I am totally an adult now, because when Sam and I went to see the Dudes, I was just getting pissed off by the audience. Sam and I stood like stage left, maybe 10 metres back for Racing, and that was fine. But then there were a lot of jocks coming in just getting pissed and like yelling and jumping around and standing right in front of us.
Oh, right.
So Sam and I were like, let's go to our usual spot by the desk, because that's where the sound guy mixes to, and that's usually where it should sound best. So we stood right next to it, and it was just people kept on walking in front and behind and shoving us, and I was just like, fuck, I'd love one of the upper row seats just on the front where no one can really do that.
Yeah.
I just want to watch the gig.
And there was one guy next to me that said the same joke like 10 times. It was kind of funny the first time.
Did it not land or something?
Well,
No one heard me.
He just kept yelling out, "Play April Sun in Cuba."
Oh, really?
As if the
Which
Dudes...
is another New Zealand classic, not by the Dudes. And then, of course, when Bliss played, everyone just went mental.
Of course.
Which involved a lot of heavy drinking from the crowd, and it's like, you guys don't even listen to the lyrics, do you? Because this is exactly what this song is about. It's about, hey, we went to Australia, they drink a lot. So from those gigs, I discovered Mermaidens, who are a trio from Wellington. Really eclectic. They've got a very unique sound. The girls play the strings, and the guy on drums is fantastic. They do a lot of like odd time signatures and strange tunings. So I've been really listening to their last album, Look Me in the Eye, which just won like a album art award at the Aotearoa Music Awards.
Oh, cool.
There's a song there called I Might Disappear, which is probably the most popular one. It's just such an interesting song. As a musician, like the bass, guitar, drums, vocals, everything is like, these are interesting choices, and it's very non-traditional pop, but it's catchy.
Right.
And other than that, the Strokes were on SNL last month, like a year after they released their last album called The New Abnormal. And I played Adam the main single, which is called The Adults Are Talking. And it's probably the earwormiest tune I've heard all year. The riff is so good, and it doesn't get overplayed. But great band. And the fans seem to think that album is the best thing they've done in years.
Oh, nice.
So I've been enjoying that.
Yeah, I always loved their stuff, like, back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
That
was their heyday, and now it looks
Yeah.
like they're having a bit of a comeback.
That's awesome. That's cool. Well, I was on my way to playing a gig, which was a trio, but I was singing a bunch of, like, just bangers, just pop songs. So I just wanted to psych myself up. So I put on Bruno Mars's 24K Magic album. And I think I've heard songs from it, but it's the first time I've listened to the whole album, and damn, that's really good.
Bruno seems to be more of an album guy than a single-by-single guy. Unless he does a single-by-single thing and then just compiles it and goes,
his
here's your album.
singles are very successful, though. Like, his songs are very successful individually, but the whole album is, like, just so good.
What's the single from that album that we would know?
24K Magic.
Yeah.
Finesse, which is the one that has Cardi B on it.
Feel free to look it up if you want. Yeah. But speaking of Bruno Mars, like, the last big song I can think of, except for maybe a Bond theme, maybe like Skyfall. Like, Billie Eilish's is great, but COVID kind of killed that. The last big song I can think of is Uptown Funk. That was just everywhere.
But that's not actually
not on
Bruno Mars song. That's
him and Mark Ronson. Yeah,
it's a Mark Ronson song. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, the main singles are 24K Magic, Chunky, That's What I Like, Versace on the Floor, Finesse. Pretty much every song is about sex in some way, or just like flashing your money. And so it's a very shallow, lyrically very shallow, but it's just like music and production wise, and just like in the past, I feel like he's been like kind of an imitator of lots of different styles, which is kind of cool. He's very eclectic in that way, but like there's one song where I just think, oh, that's just a straight Prince copy, and then there's Treasure, which is like obviously Michael Jackson, and then. But this one, he's fused them quite nicely. Like, they're not... You can hear the influence and you can tie it back to where it came from, but he's sort of made his own sound with it a bit more, which I really enjoyed. And then, yeah, the other one I wanted to say is Skeeler, which is a local band. They just dropped their EP, and they've got a really cool sound that is really unique. They're a 6-piece band, but... It's only 3 instruments, drums, bass, and guitar, and then there's 3 vocalists. And all of the backing musicians are very good, like, sort of jazz musicians. And so, but it's quite proggy, intense, and all the layers, all the texture is really created by the vocal harmonies.
Yeah, because it must be hard to do prog as a big thing with a trio, unless your band name is Rush.
They're really intricately arranged vocal arrangements. By Chelsea Prestidi, which Adam would know her.
The name rings a bell.
Yeah, we went to university together.
Also, you're chums.
Yeah, we're old pals.
But yeah, definitely recommend checking that out. Really interesting listen.
Adam, what have you been listening to?
The band that opened for the Phoenix Foundation gig was called Worms, so I kind of checked them out. I didn't really do too deep a dive, but there was one song that we listened to that had a really cool drum beat, and that was their single. I wasn't that familiar with the Phoenix Foundation when we actually listened to them, like when we went to the gig. But certain songs like stuck with me, and one was Hitchcock.
Hitchcock is great.
Yeah.
It's an instrumental piece.
So, I don't know, I just like had that on repeat for a while. It's got a really cool music video with like all these cars chasing down this big 4-wheel drive. And like
I believe that was around the time Taika Waititi was directing their music video, so there's a chance he directed that.
Oh, yeah.
If not, he definitely directed and starred in the music video for 40 Years, which they also played.
Yeah, that's another one that I was like, man, this is cool. What's this one called?
Yeah.
Like, this is 40 Years. It's like their biggest single that's not Buffalo.
Yeah.
That was funny because that came out a long time ago,
40 Years came out, I think, 2007 or something.
Yeah, and so I watched that having no idea who Taika Waititi was, and then watched it again much later and was just like, holy crap.
Yeah, the Wellington crew all know each other because Brett McKenzie appeared in the Give Up Your Dreams music video from Concords.
True.
And Black Seeds and Phoenix Foundation are on a lot of each other's albums because they were around the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think also I always pick something up from the radio. So Late in the Day by Supergrass was like, I was listening to the song, I was like, I've got to remember some lyrics from this so I can Google it later. And then I didn't remember what the lyrics were, but I was like, I know I was listening to it at about this time. So I went onto the website and like went through the playlist. Okay, at 3:25 they were playing. Started like checking out songs. But yeah, late in the day, Supergrass kind of has this really cool way of going from the verse into the chorus, and it kind of stuck with me, and that's why I got that. And then the last band that I've kind of been listening to a lot in this last week is the Cars.
Beep beep.
Doot, doot. They're just like a really fun band. They've got, I'd say like their backing vocals are really fun. Like, Let the Good Times Roll.
Nothing better than like whenever Help comes on by the Beatles, like it's an insane John Lennon vocal, but I always sing along with George and Paul instead.
Yeah, it's just like all their songs have like these fun backing vocals where it's like, man, it would be so fun to be in this band. Just like play some kind of groovy new wave-ish kind of songs and then like repeat the chorus lyrics and stuff. But
like a ska band without the guilt of being in a ska band.
Okay.
We'll get to that later.
But yeah, Good Times Are All, just what I needed, especially has really fun backing vocals, and my best friend's girl. Friend.
Cool. So, shall we get to the subject of the podcast? I'd like to go first with the prompt that Adam gave me. So Adam challenged me to do a TV show intro about inciting a riot. I ended up doing something that I thought would be like very apt as like an anime intro, so quite intense, and the lyrics kind of cover what the show will be about, which we'll get to. This is called Pawn, but P-A-W-N, and it is not inspired by a current hit Netflix TV show. Genuinely.
Sometimes I feel like I'm a pawn within this game. Don't think away the things that keep me feeling sane. I'm gonna riot and riot and riot. The night can strike me down. I wanna riot and riot and riot. Save my queen. I'm gonna riot and riot and riot. I'll be the king of this whole damn town. I'm gonna riot and riot and riot. If I don't get to my high school, after school, casual and competitive chess club.
So I have a synopsis here. If you'd,
oh my gosh!
If you'd like to hear the synopsis about what the show's about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Roll music. Tom is an average, quiet kid struggling through his high school years. He juggles his emotions, puberty, and worries about whether or not he's doing well in his lacrosse team. But Tom's true passion is chess, a passion he shares with his classics teacher, Mr. Richard's father. Richard's father.
Ah, I see.
Together, they meet each second Tuesday in the hall after class for chess club. However, they are unable to apply to compete in the nationals due to the new entry requirement of a minimum of 2 students competing. One day, Rebecca, a student who was expelled from her previous school for as yet undiscovered reasons, enrolls at Stanley Abnormal High School. Rather than Stanley Normal High School, yeah.
Okay.
What's more, she seems keen to join the chess club. The trouble is, she wants nothing to do with Tom, instead having a growing affection for Mr. Richard's father, who himself is pining for a handsome adjudicating judge at the Nationals. Will they manage to apply for Nationals? Will they rise the ranks and win the top prize? Will Tom break out of his shell and gain the confidence to make his dreams a reality? Will Mr. Richard's father win the lawsuit the school cast against him, in which he and Tom were walked in on a very compromising and inappropriate position, but was genuinely a big misunderstanding, and if that student had walked in 5 seconds earlier or even later, they would have seen the bowl of goat's cheese before Tom took off his shirt, but the school pressed charges anyway to stop an outcry from the parents who wanted him fired. But Mr. Richard's father needed to stay at that school because the principal was an old friend who hired him in good faith, even though the other schools refused him due to his homosexuality, as this was set in a time and a place when that shit wouldn't fly, son? Will Rebecca outgrow her desire for obviously gay older men and instead form a potentially romantic relationship with Tom? Well, I mean, yeah, obviously all of that. Checkmates, streaming now exclusively on one old box TV in the corner of a dark internet cafe in the forgotten part of the city, but the TV isn't connected to speakers and it can only play in black and white.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's one way of stretching a very small song into a bit of a longer segment.
Oh, right.
I got new cymbals and I was going to town on those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the hits in that second line. Very cool.
I've kind of forgotten elements of the song after like the synopsis.
Yeah. So I made the song with all these chess
references,
puns and references, and the Queen's Gambit is very popular right now, and it's not a show I've seen.
Oh, okay.
I like the lead actress, and I'm sure it's fine, but it just doesn't interest me, and it had no influence whatsoever. I just wanted to do something intense as a TV show intro for something that's usually seen as quite mundane, like chess.
And that's an anime thing, right? To be like, okay, it was swimming club, and now it's really intense.
Tense music and long pauses, and then a really bad payoff.
I haven't watched many animes, but my favorite one I've ever watched is called Haikyuu, which is about a high school volleyball team. So it's like a subtle kind of...
Well, Adam and I used to watch one called Bakuman, which was made by the same guys who did Death Note. So Death Note is, if you don't know about it, it's about a guy who discovers a notebook who, if he writes the name of someone in the book, they will die 30 seconds later. Interesting concept. The next one is about two guys who want to draw manga, and it's just as intense and really well written out and so good.
They just hype up most mundane situations.
Yeah, and I figured with my anime series, I also have to have a closeted gay teacher. Because that's the requirement for an anime, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
That and blue hair.
Oh, yeah.
So, Adam, what did I give you as a prompt?
So my prompt from Ryan...
That's me.
The lyric prompt was Murder in the Arcade.
Oh, yeah.
And the genre was disco, and it had to be in a third-person perspective. So I wrote a song called The Perkins Call, and it's about a detective, I guess you'll hear it, but it's about a detective who gets a call from Perkins in the middle of the night. And just a word of warning, some of the backing vocals slightly have different phrasing, so it's a little bit messy. So that's something I'll have to tighten up on when I do songs in the coming months. And the other thing I wanted to say was just thanks to Ryan for giving me some new gear to record on. It made my recording sound a lot nicer. I
gave him second-hand underwear, and it gave him confidence.
Yeah.
No, I gave him an audio device.
and it made a lot of difference, so thanks for that.
No worries.
You wake up to a late night call. It's Sergeant Perkins. He tells you there's a murder in the arcade. You arrive at the scene of the crime. Detective, there's been a murder in the arcade. You search for clues, you find blood on the ground, and there's a body. It's a murder in the arcade. The serial killer's been looking for a high score. It's the third time this week, but you're on the case. Murder in the arcade. There's a murder in the arcade. You arrive at the scene of the crime. Detective, there's been a murder in the arcade. You search for clues, you find blood on the ground, and there's a body. It's a murder in the arcade. The serial killer's been looking for a high score. It's the third time this week, but you're on the case. Murder in the arcade. There's a murder in the arcade. You arrive at the scene of the crime. for clues, you find blood all on the ground, and there's a body. It's a murder in the arcade. The serial killer's been looking for a high score. It's the third time this week that you're on the case. Murder in the arcade. The serial killer's been looking for a high score. It's the third time this week that you're on the case. Murder in the arcade. The serial killer's been looking for a high score. It's the third time this week that you're on the case. Murder in the arcade. The serial killer's been looking for a high score. It's the third time this week that you're on the case. Murder in the arcade.
That would make an
Nice.
excellent B movie plot.
Yeah.
Like in the 70s, straight to video. And then Red Letter Media will rip it apart.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was so cool.
We were all bobbing our
thanks,
heads
guys.
the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. And at one point, I can imagine John Travolta just walking along to it. And then getting stabbed for the third time that week.
And yeah, it does sound like. I mean, I guess that is a parallel with disco as well, as that it often is like sort of used for TV show themes as well. And I just felt like it had that kind of vibe as well.
Yeah,
Particularly
kind
with the
of-
horror sort of like.
Yeah, I liked how jarring it was in terms of your like choice of chords and the way that you're singing triplets over a straight feel. That stands out.
Right. Was that in the chorus?
One of the verses, I think.
you do
Yeah, that one.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really cool.
Oh, thanks.
Did you record that with anyone in the house?
Well, actually, that just reminds me. I was doing the that last line, which is like that really long one. That's like, it's the third time this week,
Yeah.
but you're on the case.
Yeah.
And some door knocker started knocking on the door, and then I opened the door. I was just like, hello? No, sorry, I'm not interested. Closed the door and just went back to the serial killer's been
Open the
looking
door
for-
again. Third time this week.
The serial killer's been looking for a high score, but it's the third time this week. It's just like,
And really effective, just that one note. Dun, 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 dun. It's kind of like the Hitchcock strings from Psycho.
right, yeah. That was just the clavichord setting, and then I kind of wanted an alarm sound, right? Like,
Yeah.
warning.
And when we were listening, I was like, you could throw in a police siren here. What?
Yeah. Well, the other thing I was thinking of putting in was like some arcade noises, like
8-bit, yeah.
Pac-Man noises, or like.
End it with the Mario.
But yeah, thanks, guys.
Oh, that was really cool. I've been getting a little bit of feedback. I wouldn't say a lot because we don't have a lot of listeners, but the feedback I've got from a handful of people, it seems to be going in the direction of my songs are either like really overcooked or really underdone. Sam's songs are just amazing, and then Adam's songs are the most interesting songs you'll ever hear.
All right.
So let's see if we can keep that tradition
Oh,
up.
cool. Yeah, well, you guys have both done quite edgy sounding songs, and both of mine are extremely cheesy.
Okay, good. Balance us out.
So hopefully
Yeah.
it will counterbalance. But I might start with the prompt that Adam gave me. It's called the Christmas in LA prompt. So I don't know if anyone knows about the band Wolfpack, but we're all big
I've heard of
fans. They play like sort of rhythm section funk kind of. They
They're
started out-
very inspired by The Wrecking Crew, which is a
Yeah.
great story and a great documentary you should all check out.
Definitely. Yeah, they have. What part of the prompt was that the song had to be about Christmas, but not be cheesy. But then actually going through Wolfpack's catalog, actually they write a lot of cheesy ass songs. I think the reason why it flies and the reason why you don't really cringe that much is because they're really good.
Yeah, there'll be certain parts of the song where, as a musician and even as a listener, you're just like, how do they do
It's
that?
so groovy, and so you just sort of you give them a pass on anything that's like
Yeah, no, absolutely.
that's not cheesy, and so that's what I'm worried about because it is incredibly cheesy. So I'm hoping, and also like every person in that band is a virtuoso on their instrument.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to have chops like Corey Wong.
Yeah, but I'm pretty confident with the guitar parts. But like trying to play bass like Joe Dart
Oh, yeah.
was not.
Sorry, is that Joe Dart on the Fender bass?
Well, I was playing my
Sub.
sub bass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
so we'll
I think
see.
the measurement is if I want to listen to it in June,
Yeah.
then you've done a good job.
Yeah, we'll touch base again in June and see
Yeah, yeah.
how it's
For
going.
our Northern Hemisphere listeners, right now it is
Yeah.
December and it is summer.
And then I went for, because they have multiple vocalists, I went for the
Yes.
Theo sound because he sings Christmas in LA.
Yes.
And there's no way I can try and imitate Antoine, so you guys lyrics as well.
Oh, cool. Oh, thank you. One copy each.
Can we get it signed?
I'll sign it for you.
Sunshine and darkness days. For who to go and blow away. I hear them two singing. I wonder who is singing to today. People out and about. The warehouse is making bank. Retail staff are pulling rank. Your world is feeling lighter. Your spirits are flying higher, dancing around the bonfire. But two and two together, what do you say to me? And if I'm right, it's out of sight. What an awesome time this will be. It's Christmas in New Zealand. Talking about independence as a way. It's Christmas in the land of the walker. Let's celebrate together, make the most of this lovely weather with your family. Spend the day at the beach, swimming in the underwear and burying your feet. No time to get a treat. Fish and chips and jelly tips with the bottle of L&B. Put two and two together, what do you say to me? And if I'm right, it's out of sight. What an awesome time this will be. It's Christmas in New Zealand. Talking about independence as a way. It's Christmas in the land of the walker. Let's celebrate together, make the most of this lovely weather with your family.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
I think we got a new national anthem.
Christmas national anthem.
That is so Kiwi. Just in case we have any non-Kiwi listeners, there's so many references here. Land of the long white cloud, which is what Aotearoa means, plus fish and chips, jelly tips, and a bowl of L&P. Fuck yeah.
Look, right from the first second, it's just like, hell yeah.
Yeah, that nailed the Wolfpack tone so well.
Cool.
And like, I heard about a Joe Dart in there.
Oh yeah. So I kind of cheated in the intro in the sense that that's the only part of the bass that I played with a pick.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The rest of it's all fingers, but yeah. I couldn't play that fast on the bass.
Well, the drumming that you did, because I asked during the recording, you were telling us that the drumming was just the foot pad that you have where you can do one sound at a time. That, for me, recently I heard, I think it might have been a Strokes album, where the drummer didn't hit any cymbals. His aim was to not hit the cymbals and see if that affected the tone of the song. With funk, it seems to really work. Because I wasn't thinking about the lack of cymbals. It wasn't until I was thinking about, wait, this is just a kick and a click.
Yeah.
And yet it's still got that pulse.
Well, the thing with funk, I think, is that it's all about, and this is sort of something that Wolfpack is famous for as well, is that even though it's kind of a busy music, it's actually about space.
Yes.
And you want to be able to hear the gaps in between notes. So, yeah, I almost didn't put reverb on this. There's a little bit of reverb, but, like, I just thought the gaps in between the notes is, like, where the groove is. Yeah, I didn't even think about putting cymbals in. But, yeah, so I've got this SPD pad, and I was just using a drumstick and just playing. I went through once, did the kick, went through and did the claps, and then I put the cowbell in. And then that sample is...
Yeah, I wanted to get to that one.
That's also on my drum SPD pad.
Oh, because I was thinking you just recorded 1 year and we're like, I can't be fucked to do the rest. Let's just copy it.
No, it's actually a sample on my drum pad, so that's why they overlap, because it's just like hitting it.
Wait, so that's not your voice?
No.
Oh,
I thought that was you.
No.
I have to say that section is my favourite section, that pre-chorus section, with the rising octaves swapping with that funk strumming, and then at the end of it,
getting into
yeah. Well, I know that Wolfpack, they use some really cheesy samples like orchestra hit and things like that.
I love those.
I was kind of just like, just trying to ham it up as much as possible.
Oh man, cool. I'll definitely be listening to that one in June, I think.
Well, Adam's intention for that prompt was to make a non-cringy Christmas song. I think you've absolutely pulled that off. Because this is my Christmas song from now on.
Cool. Oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah, cool.
So it looks like the feedback I've been getting from people was bang on.
I was mostly worried about singing that much falsetto and trying to...
Yeah, same. With the very first one I did of Adam's, of the shoegaze, I did all that in falsetto, and once you start, it's kind of hard to stop because you're like, I wonder what else I can do with this.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was very Theo, and I like how you went back to your chest voice for the end of the pre-chorus.
Oh
yeah. Let's send it to Jack and see if Wolfpack will cover it, and they'll be like, let's sing about this country we've never been to.
They need to come here.
And open with Christmas in LA and end with Christmas in New Zealand.
I've actually played in, which kind of helped me out here, is I've done 3 Wolfpack tribute band shows. So I've actually played quite a lot of their music, which helped out a lot here. But I think the reason why so many people came to our tribute show of Wolfpack is because they've never come here.
And they're such a celebrated group here.
Yeah.
Like
they're so popular here.
If you're a musician, particularly jazz inclined, you know who Wolfpack are. And if you don't, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Get Wolfpack in your life. So speaking of good lyrics in a song, Sam, I was thinking that we could perhaps talk about some of the lyrics that not necessarily what we think are the best in the world, but ones that really stood out and stand out to us whenever we listen to songs. So the first one I'm going to talk about is what I think is probably one of the best lyrics ever, which is Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. And I think anything Roger Waters or Nick Cave or Tom Waits is kind of cheating because they are literal poets.
Right,
But I think Roger Waters really nailed... I think the thing that Pink Floyd do well is relatability. Like, Dark Side of the Moon is still so relevant lyrically. And Wish You Were Here is the crux of like human behavior. Like, we all love things, we all hate things, we all miss things, and Wish You Were Here has that great line, we're just 2 lost souls swimming in a fishbowl year after year, running over the same old ground. What have we found? The same old fears. Wish you were here.
Yeah, and all the imagery in that song is so beautiful as well. Like,
It's very visual, and it just hits the nail on the head. Sometimes life, you just end up swimming in circles and you feel trapped. And it's a great song.
Oh, absolutely. Well, my first one was Are You Mine by the Arctic Monkeys.
Oh, yeah.
And I just love the way it flows. This first verse. I'm a puppet on a string, Tracy Island, time travelin' diamond, cutter-shaped heartaches. Come to find you for in some velvet morning years too late. She's a silver lining, Lone Ranger riding through an open space in my mind when she's not right here beside me. And it's like he crams all these words in and they're just flowing, and it's like, it's really cool.
Well, seems you guys all have multiple lyrics, but I've only got the one. And it's... I probably could have picked like a more poignant lyric from this guy, but so Kendrick Lamar, he's won a Pulitzer Prize for his lyrics. Actually, I think he's one of the only songwriters, or maybe the only songwriter ever to do
Bob
that.
Dylan might have.
Or maybe he was the only rapper.
Yes.
Maybe that's where the thing came from. But but this song For Free, it's I love it because he's got a lot of jazz influence. He's a very eclectic guy, so his music's influenced by a lot of different things. But this is just a straight out, like hard out jazz rhythm section going underneath. And the lyric that stands out to me from that song is, you really think we can make a baby named Mercedes without a Mercedes-Benz with 24-inch rims, 5% tint and air conditioning vents? How fucking no? And I just love it so much. It's so funny.
That song in general, it's just like, you don't know what's going on, and then you just hear, this dick ain't free. It's like, what?
But I think he's actually just talking about, the whole song's about the music industry just like taking advantage of you and like riding on your success as an artist and just capitalizing on it when you don't get much money yourself.
Well, we've kind of touched on this subject a bit earlier, but my favourite comedian of all time, Dylan Moran, Irish comic, he had this really good observation of, like, he doesn't understand rap because he's from a blues background. Blues music is all about, I don't have anything, whereas rap's all about attainment. I think the reason why Kendrick Lamar and Eminem and those kinds of rappers stand out is because they don't really do that as much.
No.
It's kind of turned into diss tracks with some of them, but this one's all about, no, I'm singing about what I know. And what I know is it's hard.
But those are two people that have come from a very hard upbringing.
Yeah. Well, those are the artists that we identify with the most because we are still at the bottom in some ways.
Those two guys have kept that connection to their background. They haven't tried to cut it off.
Yeah, and stayed true. They haven't sold out in like the worst senses.
You got more?
I've got so many more. Since you've only got the one, I might just whittle my way through these. Nick Cave is a huge influence on me. He has a song called Let Love In, which was in the early 90s, and the opening line just stuck out so much to me, which is, despair and deception loves ugly little twins. They came a-knocking on my door. I let them in. It's like, wow, that is so visual, but also like so poetic.
Right.
Like with love comes these uglier things. The other one I love is Tiny Ruins, which is a New Zealand folk group. She has a song called Carriages, and I had the wonderful opportunity to tell her that this lyric was so fantastic in person. Noise before the dawn lures me out and about, padding on bare feet, quiet as a lover's doubt. And I thought that's such a good line.
Yeah.
Like folk music has those one-liners, which is like, oh, that is so poetic. And then my runners-up, I had to throw a Ween song in there. There's a song called Exactly Where I'm At from the White Pepper album. I'm all staged, it's all an act. I'm really scared that I may fall back on the abstract. That's teenage angst right there. Like, I'm putting on this front so that you'll like me, but I'm afraid that like I'll just end up being weird to try and impress you. And then I'll throw in another Kiwi one, Split Ends. This is a Phil Judd lyric that Tim Finn delivered beautifully in a song called Time for a Change. It goes something like, but like a parrot in a flaming tree, I know it's pretty hard to see. I was like, that's a really arty image, and Phil Judd's an artist himself outside our music. It's a really good lyric.
Cool. I had two more, and it was mainly just because of the kind of imagery, I guess. Well, not imagery, just kind of, the imagery. One was Brightest Star, which I mentioned last month, because that's on the General Electric album. So I was listening.
She had.
Yeah, yep. She had. I was listening to that a lot last month. We're like the water at the edge of a wave that gets left upon the shore, disappears into the sand, and was seen no more.
That's great.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, fun to imagine, I guess. Like thinking about the waves.
It makes you think, yeah.
And then the other one was by a band called Preschool, which is a Japanese band. And so they're kind of got, English as their second language. And so sometimes it's interesting to kind of like
This is a very indie band. I think there's maybe 5,000 people in Japan who know about this band.
Oh, okay. But this one song called So Suddenly, the lyrics to the verse are, so suddenly you appeared out of the mist. You were worn out, but cheerily showed me your funny dance. You were not the beaut.
Well, see, the thing about singing or doing comedy, especially in your second language, is you can find nuances in English that are strange that we haven't picked up on.
Yeah.
Right.
Victor Borge, who is the greatest musical comedian who ever lived, was so good at comedy because he could see all these weird things with our language that we can't see. So his inflationary language of like, you have words with like numbers in them. I
still use that joke. Yeah.
I still say loot 11 and int.
Yeah. I just say tootiful.
Tootiful. You look very tootiful through night.
Yeah.
I was going to say his comedy is really timeless, but I guess eventually the English language will change. And then
It'll become even more difficult to learn.
Hello, Ryan Eddie Hale here. If you're enjoying the show and want to stay updated, please feel free to follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this on. Also, if you would like to know when the next episode goes live, or want to receive relevant updates, plus lyrics and photos from each recording, make sure to follow our social pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Reddit. Furthermore, if you search Prompt Songs Recommendations into Spotify, we've set up playlists for each episode with a list of all the music that we've mentioned or recommended for easy access. Now, back to the show.
All right, my second prompt was from Sam. This is going to be a little bit of a lecture, sorry guys. So Sam challenged me to do a ska song with Jumping In With Your Eyes Closed as a lyric prompt. Now, with ska, Right, hear me out. There's a certain
Here we go.
there's a certain connotation that comes with ska, and I think we can blame America for this because I think it's third wave ska was very popular in the late 90s. After grunge, they were looking for the next thing, and ska kind of took off, and ska punk and all that. That is not the ska I enjoy. So what ska is it's an offshoot of rocksteady and a precursor to reggae. Rocksteady is a genre of music from Jamaica which has heavy offbeats. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, but much slower. Rocksteady is steady,
Right.
like a rock.
I get you.
It became ska, and the only literal difference is it's very hip and quick. And the lyrics were used to either talk about, love, like most genres do, or, and this is very important, it became very political and started talking about the issues of the oppressed communities, especially from Jamaica.
Right.
And that really took off in England in the late 70s with The Specials and Madness, who are two of the bands that I really enjoy. If you want to get a gauge on what kind of ska I like, listen to songs like Ghost Town by The Specials or Gangsters, and Madness were really good with their cover of One Step Beyond and many, many other songs, but they're more pop. House of Fun was the one that got me into them, and Baggy Trousers. Those two are very fun songs. The flag, or the symbol for ska, is a checkered flag like you see at Grand Prix races to signal the finish.
Finish, yeah.
So it's just black and white squares, and the whole idea is it's not black and white. Everything can live harmoniously even though we're different, black together with white.
Okay.
So that really took off in England because black people were oppressed and white people seemed to be in control, but there were also white people that were having a tough life. And the reason I got into ska was a band from Japan, specifically Tokyo, in the late 80s, made up of all the best underground jazz musicians called Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra. I'll probably put up like 5, 6 of my favorite Tokyo Ska songs on the Spotify playlist just to show their range, because they're not specifically ska, but they do that very well. They're very good at Latin and jazz and rock and even metal recently. But the stuff I love from them the most is the instrumental stuff, which is the bulk of their albums, but their label wants to press like pop songs with vocalists, so they get guest vocalists on, and those are the singles. So if you search them up, that's what you get. I've met them in person, and I got to thank them for being like the lighthouse of my teenage years. Got to give trumpeter Nago, who's my favorite member, my hat. So this song, it ended up being a bit more rock steady, so a little bit more down tempo, but still quite feel good. There is a rather glaring mistake in this song, which you'll hear. This is called Jumping In.
Cool.
There goes the day, waving goodbye as it makes its way. Should I look back through tomorrow's years? Will it twinkle through the night of my yesteryears? I lost my way, had to climb to find the light again. Now all the shadows exposed to the light, little memories that hide. I'm jumping in with my eyes closed. I'm headed out to sea. And you should take the good with the bad, but never let it keep you where the anchors sleep. I'm jumping in with my arms up high. It's time to take that leap. Who really knows what lies ahead? So let's sail away, we go to what we'll meet.
Shit, I've dropped a drumstick.
Oh shit. Well, I guess you'd better...
Pick it up!
take the good with the bad, but never let it keep you where the anchors sing. I'm jumping in with my arms up high. It's time to take that leap. Who really knows what lies ahead? So let's sail away. We don't know what we'll meet. I'm jumping in. I'm jumping in.
My excuses. Backing vocals are really, really hard to do. Your own backing vocals, and I didn't really plan out the harmony.
I thought the backing vocals sounded really good.
I liked the baritone part, but I didn't
Yeah.
really get the harmony the way it was in my head.
Oh, right.
But if I do the song properly later on,
They
then I'll
fit
fix
the
that.
song really well. Like,
Yeah, I liked how fun they were. The kind
Yeah.
of, you know.
That's what ska is. It's fun.
Oh, exactly.
yeah, you got the mix and like all the tones just like spot on.
It's all. There's something that sounds like a keyboard in the first half. That's just a guitar pad through one of the guitar plugins,
Oh, all right.
and I added a tremolo on it. And yeah, everything else is acoustic except for the bass.
Was it melodica playing in?
That was me playing my melodica, baby.
That was cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think,
Lyrically, I wanted to, because I usually do a silly song on each episode. I wanted to do something a bit more genuine. So when Sam said jumping in with your eyes closed, I immediately thought water, as you do, rather than custard. So I thought about my trip to Okinawa, where I did something drastic, which is I moved overseas to do something completely different. It didn't work out. In fact, I was jumping in with my eyes closed. I loved Okinawa, I just didn't like the work. And yeah, so it kind of tied in with the nautical theme.
right. And I actually wrote in my notes, I wrote summary.
Summary, yeah. It reminds me of Onna, which is the town I was living in Okinawa, and going into the reef. Good days.
And the other thing was really cool bass line. Like sometimes I think in the second chorus, some really melodic like playing. Yeah.
Can I say, like, I feel really nervous playing bass on the songs for this because Adam listens to them. And so, like, I think Adam will listen to them and go, like, that's a shit bass line.
Of course not.
Especially with ska, because there's usually a walking bass line and I can't really walk very well. So I kind of just, like, sit away and slave away and go, I can follow that note with that one. And I usually just end up doing bar chords.
Oh, right.
But with ska, you can't really detract too much. You just have to have a groove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You,
No, it
and
was
you had
good.
the energy. No, it was really cool.
A lot of yelling and stuff kind of got buried in the mix. But yeah, after I pull the rug out from under you and throw in a ska joke of Pick It Up.
Oh, I love that, yeah.
Yeah.
And the chorus was so nice in that up tempo as well. Like after that, it's like, oh, new energy here.
Yeah, well, that is ska. So
Right.
that's the difference between rocksteady and ska. One is really good, like at the end of the day,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
one's good for late at night.
Cool. My second song was a prompt from Sam, and it was an acid jazz song, and the prompt was Summer Holiday to the Beach. So we're sticking summary.
Sticking with the
yeah.
acid jazz. Have you heard much acid jazz?
I knew of it, and when I kind of looked it up, I didn't realize like Jamiroquai was acid jazz, and it turns out that acid jazz is the name of a label, and then whoever they sign is considered acid jazz, right?
Oh,
Kind of like an
Blue Note.
ECM.
Yeah, ECM or Blue Note, yeah. It's the same idea. It's like a label that's got a sound associated with
Yeah,
it.
like Motown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Motown, there we go. That's
Yeah.
the perfect one.
And when I discovered that, I was like, okay, so I just need to write a song and pretend I'm in this label. But a
And
lot of
high on cocaine.
a lot of the bands from there are kind of like funk and jazz influenced, and like some hip hop influences. You know, I kind of went with the jazz thing of like, you know, improvising stuff. It's like the main staple of jazz. And then my song's like a 2-5-1, which is like another staple of jazz. And then I kind of took that and made it funky and got a hip hop sample and for the drums and like put that behind. So it kind of, yeah, it became a mix of all kinds of stuff. So if you hear anything and you're like, then it's probably improvised. Yeah.
lights out, I woke up in hell today. It's cold as heck and I'm ready for a summer holiday. To the beach, I wanna go. To the beach where I'm gonna swim in the ocean waves. But for now the demon's with me and I'm asleep. The ocean waves, the ocean waves, the ocean waves. Getting tortured and thinking about getting away. Until then I'll be dreaming of my summer holiday.
Nice. That was great.
So I kind of started off with a 2-chorus bass solo, and then I kind of just took some of that and made that my chorus, like what I ended on. Used that as like my chorus melody, and repeated that in the choruses, and then just kind of made up the in-between bits.
What effect did you have on the bass, the lead bass?
Yeah, it was a cool sound.
Sounded like a fuzz.
Yeah, it was. And I think there was some reverb on it as well.
Which is interesting. Usually you don't put reverb on a bass.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to set it apart from the other bass, you know? The backing bass.
True. Tonally, yeah. Great key changes.
Yeah,
thanks.
the chord progression was really cool.
Yeah, it's like a 2-5-1, and then it just goes into a 2-5-1 in a different key. And then it goes back to the original 2-5-1.
And the vocal, the way you sang it, really reminded me of like progressive psychedelic bands of the late 60s. I don't know why, I'm thinking Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. But it was kind of like a sarcastic tone, but not at the same time.
I was thinking like Talking Heads. A little bit?
Yeah, a bit of David Byrne, true.
Because Talking Heads have sort of a funky, jazzy kind of sound to their tracks as well, eh?
I think what made it 60s for me was the long reverb on it. It sounded kind of like a chamber echo.
Yeah, because the story is about this guy who like died and woke up in hell, and like demons are whipping him and torturing him, and then he's thinking about his summer holiday. So I wanted this big like cavernous reverb to be like, you know, he's all alone in this giant cavern of hell.
You hear the screams in the background very faintly. And every now and then
I'm cool. I'm satisfied with that. Ticking all the boxes of my prompt.
Acid jazz? Oh, yeah.
We need to think of a fitting punishment if one of us fails the prompt. I was thinking like we stop recording, like say if Adam hadn't done that, we stop recording and then you grab a guitar and go away for like half an hour and you have to write about a genuine time that you're embarrassed in your life about. And then you come back here and perform it for Sam and I.
Just strum chicken. I didn't get my prompt right on the podcast. I'm so embarrassed. It's like, oh, I guess that was the time.
I am so keen for this one.
Yeah. So my prompt from Ryan.
That's me.
As I said, both of these songs were quite cheesy. For Adam's prompt, I was trying not to be cheesy, but it was about Christmas. So
I don't think it was too cheesy. It was lighthearted, but it wasn't.
Well, I mean, to be technically correct, I said it can't be cringy.
Oh,
yes.
And it wasn't cringy.
Oh, okay,
so.
that's good. Well, this one is a kid's song about taxes. So it's quite fun though, like because it's like really happy sounding music, but I'm singing about something that's really
above their heads.
Yeah, and just not fun. I felt like it was going all right until I remembered that Ryan had also asked me to play kazoo on the track. Right. And then the next day...
They call me the rug puller.
Yeah. I made the whole track and I was like, oh, I think that's all right. And then the next day I remembered I had to put kazoo on, so I just did that last minute today, and it's not that great, but whatever.
Oh, I should mention, I work at jobs where they pay taxes for me, so I don't really have a headache with taxes. I'm not sure about you, Adam. You are
some jobs I do, but my mum's an accountant, so it's all, you know.
Got assistance, whereas Sam is mainly self-employed.
Yeah, which most of this song is from that perspective.
Yes.
Of being.
Well, I wanted you to write about something you knew.
Yeah.
But in the form of a kid's song, a la Susie Cato or the Wiggles.
The end of the year is nearly here. 31st of December is filled with cheer. But that's not what I'm talking about. March 31st fills my heart with fear. Have you kept track of those expenses? Held on to those receipts? Don't forget depreciation, or your bill will make you weep. Nothing makes you feel like an adult like doing your taxes. Gone are the days when we can live our lives stress-free. You think you're good at saving until the tax man knocks on your door. Student loan, ATC, income tax, spin you till your head gets sore. Alright, kids, let's get into some details. It's the time again to fill out your IR3. Will you be out of pocket or get a refund? Just wait and see. Get track of your petrol and deduct it out of your power bill. You may make it through another year before your business is killed. Nothing makes you feel like an adult like doing your taxes. Gone are the days when we live our lives stress-free. You think you're good at saving, you will take me knocks on the door. Student loan, ATC, income tax, spend you till your head gets sore. Alright, one more time. Nothing makes you feel like an adult like doing your taxes. Gone are the days when we live our lives stress-free. Think you're good at saving till the tax man knocks on your door. Student loan, ATC, income tax, spend you till your head gets sore. See you next week. Bye now.
Adam, I want you to pretend like you're 6 years old again. So you got that in your head?
What's an IR3?
Yeah, exactly. What's depreciation, Adam?
Is that when you get really sad?
No, that's what happened to the friend you don't see at school anymore.
Oh, he depreciated.
No, but that sounded really Christmassy for a kid's song about tax.
Well, don't all kids' songs sound like Christmas songs? Like,
Yeah, I guess
So
it's
long as
joyous.
you had a sleigh bell.
Oh yeah, well, I had the tambourine, and it was actually a guiro that was playing, not the
frog. Okay.
No, they basically sound the same. I don't know why I bought a guiro.
Oh, you could say that about half the instruments I own. Why do you have that? Oh, it looked cool. Have you played it? No.
This is the first time I've used it for anything. But
I would like to point out for those who can't see us, which is everyone, the "See you next week, bye now" on the lyrics that he's given us has a little smiley face next to it. The kazoo was awesome.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
I liked how it made it get chaotic towards the end, as in
yeah.
kind of like when you're trying to do your taxes.
The
your
deadline's
mind
coming up.
Oh,
There's actually 2 layers of kazoo going on there. So
Oh, real?
the first one I just did I was just kind of going for like a horn line kind of thing. But then the second chorus, I doubled it up, and it's kind of, I was going for that whole Dixieland where they all solo at the same time.
Yeah.
It's kazoo, so it doesn't sound as good. Like, one of the main things I'm a little bit gutted about, I wanted to redo the vocal again, but the way I did the tracking was I didn't know how I was going to do it at first, so I just started by just recording the vocal and ukulele at the same time through the same mic.
Yeah.
And so I just...
Good leveling, though.
Yeah, so I did the rubato bit, and then I don't know if I actually planned on going into time there. I just kind of was just jamming it. And then after that, I was like, oh, actually, that was all right, so I'll just stick with that. And then I just gradually added all the instruments. The main thing that I'm not that keen on is that I didn't get that really clear Susie Cato level diction. You can't understand you can't hear every consonant, or I think
Julie Andrews. That's a very rare quality to have, though. But especially as a male.
Yeah, that really over accentuated
I liked how much bass there was in your mix.
Oh, yeah.
There was absolutely heaps. I was like,
That
hell
was
yeah.
the main instrument besides the ukulele.
Yeah, I'd say so.
It's the main, like, groove thing, because other than that, it's just random percussion instruments. There's no drums, so, yeah.
Yeah, and you could really hear that the tone of your bass, which is like a Music Man copy.
Yeah.
And it's got that treble in it, and you could really hear like that tone of the bass.
Oh, cool.
So it's
I
cool.
think I ran it through a amp simulator.
Oh yeah.
That's the thing with bass that I struggle sometimes to find a sound that has a good like front to the note, so you can hear the timing of it. Particularly on a song like this, where the bass is really like driving the groove of it.
One thing it took me a long time to do as a mixer, I used to like affect sounds by themselves. I'd have them soloed and then I'd bring them into the mix. Whereas now I mix with, I like turn up the, say it's the bass, I'll put it through the amp simulator and then turn it up louder than the rest of the song so I can still hear it, but I can see how it fits in. Because sometimes it might be too crunchy or it might be too bass heavy, and then I can just fit it in and go, that's the sound I want, but this is the one that sounds better with the song. Frequency stacking.
Yeah. Well, I guess my mixes for both songs have been so quick because I basically just did them both today really quickly. But
As is tradition.
so you are listening to the whole thing, but also I think with recording both of these songs, I mean, they don't need any crazy effects or anything. It's just trying to get things to like have the presence they need.
Well, it definitely felt like a kid song.
Cool. Yeah. No, I was bopping along.
Cool. So, next prompts.
Nick prompts.
All right. Sam Swindell's old two solos. Oh. So, I heard feedback from a friend of ours, and she said, you always write about depressing stuff. I was like, yeah, I guess you're kind of right. So the ska one was a nice change of pace. However, that's back to normal now. Sam, your next song, I want you to do a folk song.
Okay. Oh, cool.
That's a genre I love, and I know that you'll nail. And I want you to write it from the perspective of an elderly person going on what they know is going to be the last walk on the last day that they're going to live. So heavy, but it's up to you whether you make it like a light-hearted reminisce or whether you make it dark. Because it could just be them walking around going, oh, these are all the people I've seen every day and I've seen them grow. Or it could be like, I'm not going to see this stuff anymore.
Well, even if you do make it nice, it'll still be bittersweet regardless.
Exactly, and that's what folk is good at. Adam,
Interesting.
Yes.
you've been in a few cover bands in your day, so I thought you might like an 80s big hair ballad.
Oh, okay.
You already got the hair. And I want it to be about frogs and princes and princesses.
Okay.
With that whole fairy tale connotation.
Well, that kind of brings me on to my prompt for Sam. I want you to write a Brit pop song,
Oasis, Arctic Monkeys, Blur.
and your prompt is, there's a crazy sail among the snails. So, much like Ryan's prompt for you, it's super serious. And there's no way you could really take it in a joking way. So,
Well, I thought of that and was like, I feel another Ween song coming on.
Is this a sale in terms of like
S-A-L-E, like
in
a...
a store?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then my prompt for Ryan,
That's me.
it's your birthday just passed. But next month, when we record the podcast, it will be...
Yes.
Well, it will be close to Sam's birthday.
Yes.
So my lyric prompt for you is Happy Birthday, Sam.
Oh, okay.
And because Sam's such a great guitarist, I want you to write it as a guitar ensemble. So
Ooh.
at least a guitar quartet and one voice, but you can do as many guitars as you like. And it's fine for, if you want to make some of those guitars bass guitars or baritone guitars or alto guitars.
So guitar ensemble, do you mean like a traditional one, or do you mean like the kind of songs I used to write as a late teenager where it would be layers and layers of guitar?
No, I mean like traditional, like harmonized guitar lines.
Interesting. Okay.
But
Think Fearless Flyers without the drums.
True. I'm fucked.
But it doesn't have to be
funk.
that style at all. It could be any style, really. That'd be cool. All right, my prompts. So for Adam, you've got two rocky kind of ones because I've done style of Nirvana,
Oh, right.
but you've also got two quite contrary lyric prompts. Mine's about different kinds of flowers.
That sounds like something I should do.
Yeah, Ryan's real into
I'm an amateur
gardening.
botanist.
And then Ryan,
That's me.
style of Pink Floyd.
I've been listening to Pink Floyd, like I'm having a Pink Floyd renaissance, so this is perfect timing.
Awesome. And the lyric is daydreaming in the hospital waiting room.
Ooh. I'd just like to say on the record, David Gilmour is my number one influence as a guitarist. So no pressure. In fact, some of the lyrics in my Scar song, Exposed to the Light, I said it exactly the way David Gilmour does in Shine On You Crazy Diamond.
Right.
He's my range vocally. All right, so we're having a very short window between this one and the next recording. We've got about 2 weeks. Probably going to record on New Year's Eve or the day before. So quick 2-week turnaround. That's okay, Sam will wait for the day of.
Well, generally I record mine in a pretty short time frame. That Murder in the Arcade one I actually did like a couple days after we recorded the last podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, when it was coming up, I was like, oh, I should listen to that so I can remember what I wrote.
I have this weird thing whenever I'm putting off a project that involves vocals, the day that I'm actually free and willing to, I get a cold.
Oh, right.
And so that is what happened last week. I woke up and I had all the COVID symptoms, including the one that everyone's like, oh shit, which was no taste. And so, I was listening to Backstreet Boys and get the joke.
Classic
get
no
the joke.
taste.
Yeah. But yeah, I had all the symptoms, got checked out. But that put me off by at least a week. As for recommendations for albums to listen to, I mentioned Tiny Ruins earlier with my lyrics. The album that song Carriages is off is called Brightly Painted One. And it's when Holly started playing around with band arrangements rather than just straight folk guitar and vocals, which is lovely, but of course it gets a bit samey if you do that too much. So with Brightly Painted One, it was 3-piece and 4-piece songs, and then the follow-up album Olympic Girls is the one I'm recommending, because that's when they started branching out into dream pop, which is not even a guilty pleasure, it's just a pleasure of mine to listen to dream pop. And Olympic Girls, I think it came out last year, was my favorite album of last year.
Did you want to recommend?
Yeah, my album recommendation is an album that I keep coming back to. It's like, I just love the production on this album. I don't know, everything just sounds so real, like you're right next to it. Crisp, but also all the writing is just so like evocative. And it's Sound and Color by Alabama Shakes.
I can vouch for this one.
Yeah. And the first song, also called Sound and Color, is probably my favorite intro to any song, because it's pretty much just vibraphone and bass doing this like kind of long drawn out instrumental thing, but it just sounds so cool. I just keep going back to it. It's very atmospheric kind of vibe.
Brittany Howard is a musical genius. I think we bought that album together. We were living together at the time, and we were in a shop and we saw that and we're like, oh, we love Alabama Shakes. They got a new album. If you love Led Zeppelin, I highly recommend it. If you don't love Led Zeppelin, I still highly recommend it.
Well, I actually had a book recommendation. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which I read this month. It's by Ken Casey, and he actually was big into psychedelics in like the 60s and 70s. And so he wrote some of this book on psychedelics, and you can kind of read it, and it's like, whoa, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, I can see why it's like a classic book, In terms of albums, I would say like Fantasia by the band Light.
I can vouch for this as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like math rock. It's got some really cool, just like interlocking parts.
Math rock is very much what it says on the tin. If you like post rock, that's kind of the vibe of it. It's kind of like a subgenre of it. But yeah, math rock, very calculated, very rhythmic. It's the only acceptable use of spelling L-I-T-E. But they are definitely not a light version of a band. They are very much their own thing and very good at what they do.
Some real badass playing as well. Like
all of them are insane at what they do. Yeah, top players. Cool. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
See ya.
Yeah.
With my Pink Floyd masterpiece.
That's it for this episode. To access lyrics and photos from the recording of this show, or just to stay updated with releases and relevant news, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Reddit. Your support and feedback is much appreciated, so leave us a comment on what you enjoyed, or send in a prompt of your own that you would like one or all of us to tackle. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time. Perump Songs Podcast is the independent work of Ryan Eddie Hale, Adam Riddell, and Sam Swindells. All music featured is original, and all relevant rights belong to those parties.